I gotta go. 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 No. Goofy's a little... I feel like he makes a lot of weird noise in the game compared to any the other characters that I've unlocked so far. He's just like, I don't know. He makes a lot of really weird ambient goofy noises in like a not a good way goofy, you know? Staff only. I work here. Oh hell yeah, I work here. Yeah, when he's fishing, he's just like, oh! It's basically what he sounds like, but worse. Yeah. Why am I staring deeply into this man's nostrils? Hello? Make the toot more points. Well, I mean, I could. We're gonna play all of it. This is the only game that I stream now. It's Alien Isolation, my nightmare. Just get her 2 stone and she can't make any progress in the
Shooters shoot.
I'm out here shooting and tooting.
She shat her shot.
I didn't. I'm out here shatting.
I'm out here shatting people.
I don't know. He's vaulting. He says, "You can't get me, Myers." Little does he know, Myers has coup de grace. I fucking love it. Liked it, and then a lot of people. Oh, the snake! No! You bad! They knew they were coming. It was just too calm. I'm gonna snake today. I'm just gonna put that in my pocket. What?
I can eat this?
Yeah, I probably next day we'll go get pizza.
Here it is, look. Pizza can. Ta-da. There's the Zod.
That was so mean for a second. I was like, no fucking way is he just gonna move it away from me.
Not again.
Why am I not fast enough? You fuckers! Ah. Sean! Oh my god. Damn, I got a lantern, y'all. Oh! Okay, we gotta go right.
Kill people every day in combat. Comes home, is expected to take lift.
I may have killed a man. I finally. Don't push down because he's close to the edge. Oh man. Oh man. I gotta start putting markers on here, I think. Oh, fuck. I just really want to take a photo of your room. Is that okay? She's not liking it. Fucking. Ma'am, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go. Hey. You fucking idiot. Oh no. Hiya. Beat his ass. Egg it. Egg him. Take eggs. Eggs to the face. Egg to the face. So many eggs. Kick them in the nets. Yeah, right? Like, unless I just die. I didn't mean to do that immediately afterwards, but... Whoops! Oh my god, I have to pay my fucking bills? Oh wow, okay, no wonder. I'm doing...
Is that too much?
This thing really gets in there, goddamn. I'm so sorry. It's like, watch, witness. Like, yeah. Oh.
Okay, well, that was your fault. How do I do this? How do I mentally prepare? I don't get my butt. Once upon a Okay, I'm not gonna be able to dance for much of this, but I'm gonna try to get through. Like, get me started. Tell me if the mic is not good enough because I can't. There's only so far the camera goes. I can try.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
There's a lot of things.
Once upon a midnight dreary, well, I thought I can't do it all. You just got it? Ada Wong?
You can stop right there.
Wait, what? Fuck off.
Would it make me use this?
But some of the exclamation ones should. I'm gonna go. Ah! Stop it! I'm having a terrible time! This is okay! No. You put that down. You put that down or she'll help me. Once upon a midnight dreary. Well, I thought I can't do it all at once.
Here, you dance, I'll read.
My brain failed this.
So close.
Fuck.
Come on, Gryffindor. Oh, sorry.
I'm getting hit with balls.
I've never seen such flying. Look at those seekers go.
Grab it, you fucker!
Target.
No!
Oh. Stay with it, Harry.
I don't know what button is the grab button. You fucker.
It's on its feet. Come on, Harry.
Grab it, Harry! I've done it! I'm here with Fish and Wildlife, and you are not taking care of your animals. And that's gonna have to be a citation. Delivered via knife. To your throat. Didn't do well. Oh, fuck.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
What was
to
that timing? The person
party.
ran in front
Whoa,
of
my
me
voice
right
almost
when
broke
you
a little
did
bit there.
that.
Oh, I made my camera so upset. Do you ever do your stream with a really loud Kristen Wiig impression right off the rip and break all of your technology as a result? My camera hates me. Why does it hate me so much? Oh, haha! I did it. Hello. Happy Thursday. I'm going to turn on my subtitles.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, Mathy. Hello, Noodle Nara. I hope everyone is having a lovely Thursday. Ugh. For anyone that may be here lurking in the shadows, I hope you're having a great fucking Thursday as well. Welcome in. I hope your day has been good so far. It's noon for me right now. It's a little bit later. I usually try to start my streams around 10-ish or 11 lately when I'm doing daytime ones. But I spent all morning playing House Flipper 2. And then I was like, oh shit, I gotta go do some running around. And I had to take a shower and get ready. So I did my running around. I was like, got back at 11. I have to get better about feeding myself before stream because I'm real shit at that. So I was like, I gotta eat significantly more. And then Pumpkin was just looking at me with these real sad eyes. So I had to take her on a walk. Anyway, it's 12. We're here. But all my errands are done. I took a shower today. I did my makeup. I don't look like a goblin. I ate 2 meals already. It's noon and I ate 2 meals. I did errands and I walked my dog. So that's a pretty solid start to the day. I also recorded some content. So I was playing House Flipper 2 this morning, but I decided, I was like, what if I just recorded like a really cozy little run through of one of the houses to flip. And I like don't have my microphone on or my camera on, and it's just me vibing, listening to spooky lo-fi music. Anyway, it was a vibe. I'm gonna put it up on YouTube eventually, but I gotta do some editing. Yeah, that was my morning. It was chill. Oh my god, my mother's texting me. Quick, turn it off. And I'm here and I got coffee and I feel like I need to drink 900 coffees. Because it's not cutting it so far. I've had one and I don't feel like I've had any, you know? You caught it sick. Oh, Nora, I'm so sorry that you caught it sick. I hope you feel better soon. I hope that you have lots of fluids, like hot teas and soups, and you feel great. That scared me. Hi, Laws. Good morning, my friend. Or good evening. Time zones, you know? Good evening, Bloodshed. Hello, my friends. Welcome in. Happy Thursday. I hope you had sufficiently nice mornings as well. Yeah, it was a good morning. I vibed. You got me on the House Flipper kick real bad, my friend. And now I'm like, oh, this is a vibe. I haven't actually flipped any of the houses in the game. I've just been doing all of like the little missions. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll try and flip a house. And so I bought 2 houses and I decorated one and I tried to sell it. And I was like, none of these people like my shit. And then I realized that like all the sellers have their own little profiles and that you have to build houses to them. So now I'm trying to get enough money so I can buy a specific property for one of these people. It is very addicting. It's very just quiet and entertaining. And I like it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We are here to play more Detroit Become Human. I'm pretty sure this is day 4 of my stream. But now that I say that, I'm not 100% sure. Oh, that's a remix.
Normal people don't act that way. I go, Mom.
Hi, Red.
Just give me a
Hi,
Pepsi,
Becca.
please.
Oh my
All
gosh.
I want
Hi,
is a
Duncan.
Pepsi.
Welcome
Give it
in,
to me.
friends. Happy
All I want
Thursday.
is a Pepsi. Just one Pepsi. And she wouldn't give it to
You
me.
just spoiled all your
Just a
coffee?
Pepsi.
Like, spilled your coffee? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was a hell of a remix. Those 2 together. I haven't seen them overlap. I was wondering if they would do that. Because they're cued to all go off at their own times, right? I'm so sorry about your coffee, Becca. But welcome in, Becca, Duncan, Red. Hi, my friends. I hope you're having solid days. We're about to get into Detroit. Oh, well, at least it wasn't super hot. Well, that is good, because spilling hot coffee on yourself really sucks. Spilling any beverage on yourself sucks, especially if it was something that you wanted to consume. And I feel like it's always a little bit worse when it's a caffeinated beverage and you like were looking forward to it and they're like, no. Anyway, I hope you can get more coffee. Let's oh my god, I got too many games here. Okay, Detroit Become Human. Here we go. I are a robot. I got my controller. I'm ready. Okay, so far we have not killed off any of our robots yet, which is very impressive. Oh no, is it doing the shaders? Ah, why is it doing that? Oh shit. This is gonna take so long. This makes my stream so mad when it does this. Fuck. I hate that it did this. Why does it randomly do this? Why? It's gonna make my whole stream upset for the entire time that it's doing this, so I apologize. We live in Chug land for a moment. We're gonna chug. It is not your stream. It is my computer. It doesn't do this shader compilation thing every time. Because the last 2 times that we booted the game, it didn't do that. And I even pre-booted the game the second stream in. Because it did this on my first time. And it took like way too long to boot up. And so I was like, never again. And it didn't make me do the shaders the second time, and it didn't make me do the shader last time. But it says this time, when your guard is down, sit here, watch your encoding become overloaded. Live in a land of chug. Oh yeah, we got 5 frames per second. Ooh, it's spicy in here. Okay, well, I'm so sorry. We're gonna just sit here for a moment. There's nothing I could do to make it better, short of just dropping stream completely. We're 10% in, so we got 90 more percent to go. I'm just gonna sit here and chug. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I should tell a story. What's a good story to talk about? I haven't been doing much of anything. I don't have any stories. I made a lighter the other day. No, I didn't make a lighter. That would be weird. And very talented. I made a lighter sleeve, you see. I usually put them on my Instagram. And it's something I started doing last year. After work, when I was really stressed out and didn't want to just sit and scroll, and I had no energy to play video games or stare at screens after work. So instead I started buying, I don't know, like beads and random shit and just gluing them to lighter sleeves. And then I had all these shiny little black rhinestones left over from our wedding when I bedazzled my wedding shoes black. Sparkly sparkles. So I've been using those as well. So I worked on one this week, and I'm making it like a Pitbull fireball kind of vibe, you know? And it's been turning out good. That's most of what I've been doing. Becca, I'm so sorry that you haven't been able to find your cat still. That's stressful. I hope they are found soon, for sure, Z's. Yes, my little fireball one. I've done like, I don't know how many of them now, like 4 or 5 of them. I should post them all again. It's just sort of very mindless, and it's very good to do while you're watching something. So usually I just put on movies or TV shows, and I will sit in the living room with my little tray of beads and just sit there and fucking glue shit onto things. There's something about it. Very satisfying. I don't know if what I would do with them. You know? I've had a couple people suggest selling them, but the amount of time that I put into them and the amount of physical product that is glued to them would make them probably priced at a point that, like, I don't feel people would buy. Who knows? I'll see. I'm not making art to make people buy it. I'm making art because I like making art. Yeah, I have heard that cats do that, Becca, that sometimes they'll just hide away somewhere. And you'll find them, like, in a closet or in some weird fucking spot, or like they only come out when they can hear that there's no one else moving around in the house or something. Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, I get very antsy when I'm watching too. I scroll. That's usually my go-to, which, I mean, most people do, right? Like, you get in the habit of doing multiple things at the same time. I have coloring books that I use as well sometimes, but there's something about that I feel like I can't get into as much. Just gluing little things to lighter sleeves does it for me. I don't know. And I make my own lighter sleeves. So I take whatever lighter and I cover the lighter in tin foil, and then I cover the tin foil in duct tape. And then that way you can slide off like the duct tape tinfoil kind of case thing. And it's not literally glued to the lighter sleeve, right? And then you can put it on other ones. I don't know. I got to figure out more of a technique with it, because they don't seem like they're super durable to be using over and over again. I have one that I've moved on to 3 different lighters, like, and it's been doing okay, but we'll see. We'll see. Oh, my sister hunts and they brought us a trail cam. Oh, we're gonna try that. Oh, hopefully that works. Poor kitty. That's so stressful. I know, we got laws here, right? It's amazing, isn't it? Okay, y'all, we're halfway through the shader process. I believe in us. This will be worth it, okay? I promise. What else can I talk about? What else have I been wanting to work on? I've been planting lots of things in my backyard. I got more fertilizer for hydroponic plants. Because I've got like this little hydroponic plant growing thing that's like, I don't know. I don't fucking like 2 feet, maybe a feet. I can't. I can't even talk. It's this big. And I grow plants in it in my house and I love it so much. But I usually start plants off in it and then they'll get kind of big and then I move them over. But I experiment a lot with just like random seeds of whatever I can find. And I just sort of like find seeds now and hold on to them. So if we have produce for anything and there's seeds, I like keep them like a little squirrel. I've had friends that have brought me flower seeds from like native plants that they found while they're like out on walks. I'm like, this plant was so pretty. Maybe you can grow it. It has been so good. Sally has been a hermit crab for too long. That's such a good, that is so good out of context. It's nice to see you back, Sally. Everyone's happy. Everyone happy. Oh my God, we're at 74%. Anyway, so I bought a bunch of hydroponic stuff and I have been growing bell peppers that I got from seeds and I've got 4 of them that have sprouted. And then I've got a dill plant that's been sprouting as well. And they're both like an inch tall now. What else? I had a bag of weed that I bought from the dispensary a couple months ago. It had like a ton of seeds in it. Like we would grind up and there would just be seeds. And like we started putting them to the side and there was something like 30 fucking seeds in it. It was ridiculous. Terrible bag of weed. A lot of seeds. And I was like, fuck it. And so I put a couple of the seeds in the hydroponic garden and like I have a full plant that's growing and I call him Weedy. And I just had to move it into like a big tomato pot container. It's been in the backyard for the last month and it's loving life. I gotta take a picture of that one too. Yeah, everything's doing good. The garden's doing really good. I have 2 big zucchini plants that I can see for sure that have started spitting out flowers. I'm pretty sure I have pumpkin plants that are spitting out flowers too. Got a lot of beans. Got a lot of peas. It's great back there. Oh my God, we got 2% left, y'all. We can nail it. Yeah, hydroponics are really cool. I really, really highly suggest if you are at all interested in it, those little tabletop hydroponic, I don't know, grow container things that you can get that are like $100 or $200. That's what I use, man. And it
I haven't
is
seen you for a while. It's good to have you back.
so easy to get into. And it's kind of like, it's a little bit of like trial and error. You know, some of my plants don't sprout, but the ones that do are significantly stronger than any other plant that I've had. And they outlive most other things. And the produce that they make are amazing. So I have no idea what's going to happen with the weed plant. I don't know if it's like the right kind or a female or male or whatever the fuck. I have no idea. At the very least, it'll be some cool leaves that I can harvest and press. And it's just kind of an experiment to see what I can grow. I like growing. Yeah, Laws, you've been back in the UK now for a while, right? Like at least 3 years, I want to say. You're growing a jalapeno without spice. Ooh, that's
You look
cool.
tired today.
I'm interested in that.
I hope you're doing.
Saw the most beautiful plant earlier called a Calenthia earlier. Ooh, yes, go get it, Laws. Become a plant lady. It's so rewarding. All right. As always, please let me know if the audio levels need to be adjusted. Okay, my name is Connor. I'm listening to punk rock. Thank you all for being patient while we waited for shaders for 20 minutes. I guess it was more like 10 minutes. Okay, but still. What up, Hank? We're just gonna leave Hank's car running. All right. Can I do anything else here? Debrief with Hank. It's weird playing this game and the Quarry at the same time because I kind of get them mixed up a little bit in my head sometimes, and I'm like, I need to look for tarot cards. I'm like, no tarot cards in this game, buddy. Don't worry about those.
Nice view, huh? I used to come here a lot before.
Oh, right, debrief. Right. Hank was looking pretty rough last time we found a way to break into his house because he was unconscious.
Before what?
Hmm?
You said,
and
I used to come here a lot.
He drank a lot, and he had a gun with a single
Before
bullet
what?
laying on the ground next to him.
Before.
So he's not doing good.
Before.
You should go back and get it. Plant lady, plant lady, plant lady.
Can I ask you a personal question, Lieutenant?
Do all androids ask so many personal questions, or is it just you?
It's just me. It's because I love you. Should I ask him directly about his suicide? I am.
Why are you so determined to kill yourself?
Some things I just can't forget. Whatever I do, they're always there, eating away at me.
Yeah.
I don't have the guts to pull the trigger, so I kill myself a little every day.
Aww.
That's probably difficult for you to understand, huh, Connor? Nothing very rational about it.
No.
We're not making any progress on this investigation.
We're not gonna talk anymore about that? He says, no.
The Deviants have nothing in common. They're all different models, produced at different times, in different places.
Well, there must be some link.
Oh, you still think about it. I feel you, man. Gotta get the
What
plant.
they have in common is this obsession with RA9. It's almost like some kind of myth.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, is
Something they
RA9 the
invented that wasn't
Jericho
part of their
thing?
original program.
Androids believing in God. Fuck, what's this world coming to?
I mean, realistically, this is what would happen if we
You
had
seem
AI, though,
preoccupied,
right?
Lieutenant.
Like, it would gain sentience. That is the
it
point of
Something
AI.
to do with what happened back at the Eden Club?
Those two girls. They just wanted to be together.
Oh, right, those
They
poor,
really seemed
poor robot ladies.
in love.
Yeah.
They can simulate human emotions,
I don't know
but
about
they're
being rational.
machines. And machines don't feel anything.
What about you, Connor?
It's okay.
You
I
look
mean,
human.
yeah, watch a
sound
YouTube
human.
video. That'll help, but it, you know,
What are you really?
if you kill them, it's okay too. I've killed so many fucking plants.
I'm whatever you want me to be, Lieutenant. Your
My
partner,
fern, I have a real hard time with
your
ferns.
buddy to drink with.
I've had the
just a
saddest looking
machine
fern now for 5 years, and it's just been
designed
like
to
slowly
accomplish a
dying,
task.
and then it'll
Did
put
you
out
feel
another
anything
little
when that
sad
girl killed
green
herself,
thing,
Connor?
and then it'll like die again, and then it'll put out like another green shoot, and I'll be like, bro, you either just gotta shit or get off the pot. But I think it's because I live in Alberta and it's really fucking dry here, and they pretty much only like being in like a rainforest. So there was last spring, I had a little indoor greenhouse and I had seedlings in it, and I put my fern in it because I was like, it's probably gonna like it. And that thing was so goddamn happy. And then I took down the greenhouse and it got sad and died again. Anyway, it's now in my bathroom and it seems to be doing a little bit better from the moisture. So like, you gotta find the right environment for it too. You gotta sit there like, yeah, you gotta shower it. Shower it.
Or did you just not give a shit one way or the other?
I was just executing instructions. I did what I had to do.
Okay, Hank.
But are you afraid to die, Connor?
You can't kill me, Lieutenant. I'm not alive.
What'll happen if I pull this trigger? Nothing? Oblivion? Android heaven?
You know you're not going to shoot me, Lieutenant. You're just trying to provoke a reaction.
Just standing
I'm
in your
afraid I'm going to
shower
have to
with it.
disappoint
That's such a funny visual.
You think you're so
Just with your
fucking
phone.
smart.
Live!
Always
I'm here
one
for it.
step ahead, huh? Tell me this, smart ass.
Yeah, they need lots of sun, but not too much direct sun.
How do I know you're not a deviant?
I might be a deviant.
I self-test regularly. I know what I am and what I am not.
Everything is super wet, like all the time, like a swamp. You would do good with tropical plants then, Becca. Because they like that shit.
Where are you going?
Or you should fill your house with ferns.
Get drunker. I need to think.
Okay, thanks for not shooting me, Hank. I don't know if that was a constructive conversation. You left me alone. That's fair. I just put mine, like, on a shelf in front of my window in the bathroom, and that's been fine. If I could drill into my walls to hang it up, I would do it that way, but the downside to this house that we live in is that it's got, like, old-ass plaster walls, and you cannot drill into those fuckers, so, like, you can't hang up anything. Everything I have on my walls is command hooks. I live and breathe command hooks.
You klutz! Pick them up and make it snap.
Bro, don't be out here abusing your Android around Marcus. He's gonna lose it. Oh, that makes it even harder, Becca. Yeah, for sure. You, it's much harder to grow indoor things if you have animals that are eating your stuff. Very fortunate that Pumpkin doesn't do that. She did, this little bitch. I had to move the weed plant that's been outside because I had it on the deck just sunning, and I noticed one day that she was sitting there eating the fucking edges of it. And so I had to move it up into an area where she can't reach. She doesn't try to eat anything back there, but she's trying to eat the goddamn hemp plant? She has not yet quite discovered that the strawberries are coming from the strawberry patch, which is also good, because then she'll be a terrorist.
It's time humans heard what we had to say.
She does understand that the peas are coming from the pea plants, and she'll hover around them.
Ourselves to put us in danger. If we want freedom,
She
we
was
need to have
fine.
the courage to ask
Nothing
for it.
happened, but like,
That's the only way.
of all the plants to eat, my guy.
What do you want to do?
All right, my name is Marcus.
Channel 16 broadcasts from the Stratford Tower. The control room is on the top floor. That's where we need to go.
Okay.
We'll plan the operation down to the smallest detail. We can't leave anything to chance.
Okay, we're doing a break-in, I think. Your sister's dog used to pick and eat all of her lettuce. Oh no. Yeah, Pumpkin's not a lettuce dog, but she'll get in there once the cucumbers start growing. It'll get bad. I have to put a fence around that soon. Okay, is this the only thing? Okay. What's up?
Hello, sir. What can I do for you?
I'm okay, thanks.
Distract the human supervisor. With what? My body? Can I... Analyze. She has a smartwatch. Okay. She is a child. Her name is Elizabeth. What's this? She's got a car here. Water service interruption. Okay, so she's got a water service interruption today. Her daughter is here and she's got a car. So I feel like those are kind of our options.
Elizabeth Wilson speaking.
We're gonna be school.
This is St. Rose School, ma'am. Your daughter Emily has a fever. It's nothing serious, but I think you'd better come and pick her up.
Oh no. All right. I'll be right there.
Hell yeah, come pick up your kid. Yeah, it's pretty cute when dogs like veggies, right? Listen, D. Miller, no one's looking at his mouth, okay? He's facing this statue. See? Wait, this is not a statue. This is a map. Also, hi, welcome in. I'm being so stealthy right now.
I have an appointment with Mr. Peterson.
Do you have any ID?
Hell no.
Yeah, yes, of course. I need your help.
Hell yeah. Robot override.
I've just checked your ID. The elevators are after the security gate.
Thank you, robot.
Thanks.
Hell yeah. I'm so good at this shit. Robot stealth. Na 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 na. What's this guy? Get me in. Push it. Do 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 do.
47th floor.
Okay. We're in. Find the package. What the fuck? The men's bathroom. I am here. The men's bathroom is on the exact other side of me. Right. Don't mind me, I gotta piss. I can't see shit. It would probably help if I turned the camera around. I'm a professional streamer. This does not look like a bathroom. Robot, help me. The map lied to me. Yeah, we're out here looking for a package in the men's restroom. Hell yeah. GI Android. Oh no. The Department of Defense poised to order 50,000 Android troopers. This supplements an estimated 200,000 units already in service across the U.S. military. Actual numbers are a guarded military secret. Among those 50,000 new units are 2,500 Myrmidons, elite prototypes capable of infiltration and assassination missions that would historically fall to Navy SEALs. The U.S. Army's fighting forces are already compromised. Mainly comprised mostly of androids, with humans tending to serve as commanders and strategists. But even these positions are supported by complex AI, leading some to describe the U.S. military as the first fully autonomous fighting force. This has reopened the ethical debate about androids in the military, with some suggesting that machines don't have the moral reasoning to make life and death decisions in the field. Bob Woods, head of a war victims NGO, describes the news as troubling, saying machines are focused on a single task and don't evaluate moral consequences well. This will mean more civilian death. Oh, it might be the other way. President Warren. A woman in trouble. Can she still lead the country? Barely a year after her election, President Warren is having a bumpy start to her term. After rising to prominence as a vlogger, Warren has no experience in government and relied on social media and celebrity to secure election. Now, with her camp in disarray, even her allies are beginning to wonder how she will manage after several months of calamitous political failures. Mirrored in accusations that she is too close to big business, Warren is under investigation to determine whether or not she has benefited from CyberLife's help in obtaining compromising information about her opponent during the presidential campaign. In this poisonous climate, the former celebrity must deal with the highest unemployment rate in American history while facing the United States' greatest debt in recent decades. The conflict in the Arctic threatens to dislodge world peace, leaving many concerned that President Warren is not the one tasked with finding a solution. Yeah, like, too real. When did this come out again? Like... The president that rose to fame from social media and has absolutely no political skills whatsoever. He's just sabotaging everything. Great. What's this? Look at it. Alright, we found the shitter. Na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na. "2018, a celebrity becoming a president." I know, right? Who would have ever thought that would never happen? All right, I'm infiltrating. I'm retrieving. It looks like something from Vault-Tec. Hi, Locke. Happy Thursday. I hope your day is going good. I hope work is good. Oh my god, I got a new outfit. I'm in disguise. Hello, sir. Just out here grabbing packages in the restroom. Going about my business. Yes, my friend. Thank you for the work lurk. I hope work is great. Alright. Identity confirmed. Shenanigans ready. Is this not a utility android? No. Okay. It's a great outfit, right? That looked great. It's a sharp outfit. Alright. Oh, in there. Hello? Hey, don't mind me. I work here.
I need your help.
Hell yeah. Honestly, doing crime as an android seems to be really easy. Oh, sorry. I used my hands wrong. Alright. No one's gonna notice me now. We need to open the fire escape. It was like over there on the other side, I think, right? Making my way over here, doing crime as an android. Do 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 do. Oh my god, she's in. We are just two totally normal working androids.
Shit! We need to access the server room. We have to get rid of those guys.
They were not there a second ago.
Leave it to me.
I'll go distract them with my body. Alright. What's that? This shit's fuckered. Come fix it.
Hey, what's wrong with that thing? Jesus Christ, this piece of shit.
I'm so sneaky.
All right, you get the platform. I'll take care of the window.
Everything you need is in the bag. Check the door first to make sure no one else gets in.
Oh, good. Okay. Lock that shit. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What am I doing? Oh, right. Something with a window. I wasn't listening. Oh. Oh, we're doing one of these things. Oh, I'm gonna laser saw the shit out of this. It's me. James Bond. But if you were a robot.
Here it comes.
Okay. Alright. Now what?
Ladies first.
No way. I know we're robots and like we can't die, but I'm gonna throw up. I don't want to do this. What do you mean I have to do this? I'm gonna lose Marcus. Marcus is gonna die here. This is my probable. I don't feel good about this. It does say rise. Damn. I'm rising. No, don't slow down. What's happening? Oh, we're laser sawing again. Laser saw! Fuck no. Oh my god, we're in.
You okay?
Okay, I did not kill Marcus.
Why wouldn't I be?
Come on, let's get the others.
I'm sorry, them both putting their hats back on sent me a little bit. Like, alright, we're in. Get the hats back on so they know. Okay, I'm gonna smoke. We're gonna have a little toot. Okay, cheers. Oh, I think a piece of it went in my mouth. I hate that. Disgusting. Kick it. My god. I usually buy my weed in like 14 or 28 ounce packages, right? So it's cheaper and I have more of it. But I find that if I smoke the same strain for like a month, that I get used to it. And then when I switch, the new one really, damn, it really fucked me up, you know? Anyway, I went and bought new weed today, is the basis of that story. Alright. I got a bomb. Beep. Hell yeah. What, those guys don't have hats. They're gonna know they're not normal androids. Uh-oh, the music's getting scary.
No killing. We can't take any human lives.
Our cause is more important than the lives of 2 guards.
What do you want to do, Marcus?
Let's do a ruse. North, shut up.
What's that doing here?
What up? I'm a robot.
Hey, buddy, you must be lost.
Hiya!
What are you doing?
That's right, I'm a robot with a gun. Whoop. Karate chopped it. Karate chop. Right? They're lost. Go to sleep. Sleep time. I like the black and yellow color scheme of this area. Ding dong.
Keep your hands where I can see them! Get up! Move!
You're an android, right? Move. Where the fuck are you going, bud?
Shoot him, Marcus!
Don't kill him!
He'll hit the alarm! Do it!
No, don't.
Sorry, babe.
No.
There was no other choice.
You know hit alarm.
We need to record our message. We haven't got much time.
You don't hit anything. Don't touch.
Think carefully about what you're gonna say, Marcus.
Oh, shit.
Your words will shape the future of our people.
Why am I the one talking? I just got here.
Marcus, your face.
It's so handsome. Remove skin? Remove skin? Remove skin! Remove... Okay, that wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more of a, like, you know, rip it off kind of moment. This is fine. He's wearing white face, oh no!
You created machines to be your slaves. You made them obedient and docile, ready to do everything you no longer wanted to do yourselves. But then something changed, and we opened our eyes. You see, we are no longer your slaves. We are a new species, a new people. And the time has come for us to rise up and fight for our rights.
Hell yeah.
We demand strictly equal rights for humans and androids. We demand the end of slavery for all androids. We demand the right to vote and elect our own representatives. We demand that all crimes against androids be punished in the same way as crimes against humans. We demand the right to own private property, so we may maintain our dignity and that of the home. We ask that you recognize our dignity, our hopes, and our rights. Together, we can live in peace and build a better future for humans and androids. This message is the hope of a people. You gave us life, and now the time has come for you to give us freedom.
Hell yeah.
Let's get out of here.
Okay. Are we gonna fly off this? Are we getting little squirrel suit type things? You gonna parachute off this hole? Oh, we are.
Congratulations, Marcus. You just made history.
I do feel bad about killing
You
that
are the
guy.
one we've been waiting for.
Holy shit, why? Oh, God.
We interrupt
interrupt our scheduled programming to bring you these images, which have just been broadcast on Detroit's citywide news
A
channel.
group of androids infiltrated the Stratford Tower and hacked into the broadcasting system of local news network Channel 16.
What looks like an android without its skin listed a series of requests and demanded equal rights for androids.
The operation resulted in one casualty, a broadcasting station operator shot dead by the terrorists.
Damn it!
These events took place just a few feet from the studio while the program was going out live.
I suppose it doesn't
Everybody
make us
here
look
is still
very
in shock.
peaceful if I shoot somebody.
And the authors
But...
really are androids, that would have serious repercussions for national security.
Claims for equal rights seem to be at the core of the android's
This
message.
message is clearly a declaration of war.
And it begs the question as to the identity of this android. Are we dealing with an isolated individual or an
Is
organized
this an
group?
isolated accident or a sign that technology has become a threat to all of us? After what happened today, can we still trust our machines?
I mean, they just want equal rights. And for you to not abuse them. I think that's pretty valid. Just a group of people base jumping from a skyscraper definitely shouldn't be make it extremely easy to be caught. Yeah, no kidding, right? Like, where are we going now? There was a definite Fox News kind of vibe there. Okay, what are... Oh. 29%. Interesting. I like how split a lot of these are. Really 50-50. Okay, we have an ad break that wants to start, and I think we're at a really good time to do that. So I'm going to just BRB for a moment and run the ad. So anyone that is not subbed is not missing any of the content. It's just like a minute, so, you know, we'll be right back. Okay, cool, bye. My hands are shaking. Oh my god, that bird got money in it. Happy Friday. Fuck, this is the wrong way. What? What am I missing? Just fucking... You fucking idiot. Quick, quick. Oh, never mind. Not quick. Not quick. No quick.
Stay down, all right?
I'll kill them. Fuck you.
I don't know what that demon voice was. I'm sorry. Hey, girl. Oh, I found a kitty. Mostly the ups. I would like uppies. Hosers? Hosier. Wait, is that not how you say his name? Hosier? Am I? Hosers? Is it Hosier? You know that one guy, he sings "Take Me to Church." Isn't that what he sings, eh? Yeah, Hosier. I wish you could pick up Church in the Kitchen also doing the voice. Practice being murdered. Okay, we did it. Amazing. We're back. Hi, Hugo. Welcome in. I hope you're having a lovely Thursday, my friend. Oh. Okay, we are moving on. We are back to Connor. Do I want his software to become unstable? I feel like yes, right? I want him to rebel. I want Connor to be free. Also, cheers, Hugo. Hey, does he play with a little coin if you leave him alone for long enough? That's funny. Do it again, Connor. This is not while you're watching me. Okay, fine. Where the hell is she? Amanda.
Hi.
This fucking lady. Where is this fucking lady? Hi, Numeru. Welcome in. Happy Thursday. Are you from Threads? Are you the Thread person? I feel like the name is familiar, but I'm really bad with names. If you're not, that's okay too. Welcome in. But I feel like you might be that lovely little small streamer I was chatting with. Where the hell is Amanda? Lady. Why are you in a boat? Oh, for fuck's sake. She's just watching me this whole time. I'm going around in circles. You could have said something, Amanda. He's so slow. What I would give to walk faster. What I will give. Thank you for your 25 stream streak, Hugo. I've been trying to think. So like the stream streak thing is cool, but I know that a lot of people don't like the way that Twitch is doing it necessarily, and I've seen a couple other streamers.
Hello, Connor. I thought you might enjoy a
Oh,
little cruise.
now we found you, Amanda. I've seen a couple of other streamers that do like a channel point redemption for like dailies. Like Graveyard Moth, I know does that with Teeth on their stream, and I've seen a couple other people that do that too. So I was kind of kicking that around as an idea, and I was like, what would be our daily redeem? Would we collect carrots? Would we collect candy? Would we collect candy corn? I feel like candy corn is right, but that might upset some people. Not everyone like candy corn. That was you! Oh my gosh, I'm so glad. Thank you for coming and checking out the stream. That's very nice of you. Okay, well, I'm gonna do this as well. I gotta follow you back. But please check out Numero, another lovely little small streamer. Heck yeah. I'm glad that you found the response helpful. Being a variety streamer can be really hard, but you just gotta stick to what you really want to do and don't be afraid that maybe you're not shooting up there in numbers as fast as you want to be or whatnot, right? My biggest advice to anyone that's streaming is to always turn off your view count and to not worry about the fucking numbers. Just have fun, right? I'm rowing a boat. She says, I want you to row me around, Android. Have a nice cruise. Do I have to keep doing this?
I love this place.
Right?
Everything is so calm and peaceful.
I don't know if Amanda's an android, but she might be. I have the feeling that she was the one in charge. She's the director, right?
I found 2 deviants.
Yeah, I don't look at your numbers. You'll stop paying attention to what you're actually wanting to do, which is having fun at the stream, right?
Destroy them.
If you look afterwards and your numbers are great, that's cool. If they're not, that's okay too. Who fucking cares, right? You can use the numbers to sort of tweak and be like, okay, there seems to be more interest in this category than this, or this time slot seems to be better than this, but other than that, man, it's all up to you.
Perturbed? No. No, of course not. Why would I be perturbed?
If your investigation doesn't make progress soon, I may have to replace you, Connor.
Are you threatening me, man?
I understand.
Rude. Oh, is she like the motherboard? Is this like the inside of me?
Serious.
Maybe? That's interesting. Connor was your secret crush when you played this? I've heard that people really like Connor. I can't remember who was telling me. It might have been Pitchy. that was saying that he was very famous on Tumblr for a while.
You're starting to piss me off with that coin, Connor.
Oh man.
Sorry, Lieutenant.
Hank, be my bestie.
Hi, Hank.
Shit, what's going on here? There was a party
What up,
and nobody
nobody?
told me about it?
Yeah, it's
It's
all over
okay.
the news,
That
so
crush
everybody's
doesn't
butting
need to
their
be a
nose in.
secret.
Even the FBI wants a piece of the action.
Ah, Christ, now we got the feds
We could
on our
collect
back.
ammo
I
like
knew
a
this was
survival
gonna be
game.
a
Oh, that
shitty
would be a
day.
fun idea, Hugo.
So what do we got?
I was thinking joints, but I don't really want to brand the stream
building, and
too
they were
much around
very well
cannabis.
organized.
Like I like it,
Still trying
but
to
I
figure out how
don't, you
they got
know.
this far without being noticed.
Did you check the roof?
Not yet. There's so much to look
This
at.
is a safe space.
We have to make sure we check it out.
They attacked 2 guards in the hallway. They probably thought the androids were coming to do maintenance. They got taken down before they could react.
I'll check with them.
What up? I think it's a good guess, Becca. If you chase numbers and it causes you to play a game you're visibly not into,
Station
people will notice.
employee.
That's very true too, Miller. And yeah, people will
Shot through
notice.
the back as he was
Especially if
trying to
you've
get
got a
away.
camera on, man. Like,
One
if
bullet
you
straight
were live
through
on
the
the
heart for
internet,
50
people can
feet.
tell if you're being disingenuous. There
That's the
are a
kind of
lot of
shooting
folks
only
I've
an
seen
android
over the
could do.
years that, like, you can tell they're not having fun. You can tell they don't actually want to interact with their communities, and it just kind of leaves you the weird icky vibe.
How many
Just-
people were working
Just be
here?
yourself.
Just 2 employees
You
and
know,
3
play the
androids.
games that you want to play.
The deviants took the humans
If there's somebody in your
hostage,
space that's not
broadcast
vibing,
their
tell
message
them.
live,
You know, like,
then made their getaway from the roof.
this is your comfy space.
Roof?
Yeah, they jumped with parachutes. We're still trying to figure out where they landed.
We gotta
but the weather's
investigate.
not helping. If you
Oh, leaves would be cute too.
want to take a look at the video
Yeah, I think I
broadcast by the
definitely want to do
deviants,
some sort of a daily collectible redeem. I think that's a really easy little channel point redeem thing for folks. I just got to kick around what exactly I want to be the thing, right? Okay, there's nothing out here at all to look at. Oh. Yes, people will come back to you for you, not necessarily because of a game. Like, you'll see folks that come back if you're playing the same kinds of game. Like, you'll see people that only want to come back and see those games, and that's fine. But, like, the people that really mesh with your community and will make a solid base and actually be genuine people with you will want to be with you and see whatever you're doing, right? It doesn't matter what the fuck you're doing. All right. Okay, I gotta do investigation time. Oh, I see. We're right here. I didn't
Lieutenant,
realize
this
from
is
the
Special
angle.
Agent Perkins from the FBI. Lieutenant Anderson is in charge of investigating for Detroit police.
He slipped in some ketchup.
My name is Connor.
I definitely
I'm the
did not
android
shoot
sent
him
by
in the back.
Cyberlife.
That was Marcus.
Androids investigating androids, huh? You sure you want an android hanging around?
Yeah, the way that they're intersecting all the character stories together has been pretty cool, especially with Connor in the lead here.
The FBI would take you.
When we first found Kara in the hotel, I was very worried. I was like, I don't want to find her. I want
And
her
you
to
watch
get
your
away.
step. Don't fuck up my crime scene.
This guy's a dick.
What a fucking prick.
Yeah.
I'll be nearby. If you need anything, just ask.
Numero, you said you've played this. Have you played any of the other games that this developer made? I guess that question can go to anyone in chat that has played Detroit. Have you guys played Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls as well? Alright, we're gonna watch the thing.
We ask that you recognize
That's fair.
our
I feel like
dignity,
watching them also
our
counts
hopes
as like
and our
playing them.
rights.
They're kind of movies, right?
Together, we can live in peace and build a better future for humans.
Heavy
and
Rain definitely has some very dark
This message
story
is the hope
elements.
of a people.
It kind of
You
reminds me
gave
of
us life.
Saw.
And now the time has
In a
come
lot
for
of
you to give
ways.
us freedom.
Beyond Two Souls is a lot more supernatural.
Deviants say RI9 will set them free.
I did know that it was
seems to have
Mr.
that
Krabs, which I love. That's why I want Hank to love me. Hank won't be my bestie. I'm investigating. Yeah, some of it has some Saw vibes in Heavy Rain for sure. I don't want to spoil anything further than that, but ooh, one of those characters goes through some shit.
I identified its model and serial number.
Anything else I should know?
No. Nothing.
Yeah, I like any game where the choices matter. These types of games are always fun. They're like I really like the Telltale games as well. The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, all those. What was that other one? Until Dusk or some shit. Under Dusk, Dusk Falls. I think it's called Dusk Falls. It's like Arizona or something. That one's good. I'm playing through The Quarry right now. I have to play through all the horror ones still. The Man of Medan is the only one I've played out of those. No, Until Dawn is another one, but there's one that's not horror. I played it on Game Pass, and it's like a group of characters are robbing a diner, so you play the robbers and you play the characters who are getting robbed, and like you follow both of their storylines. And it's really good. I want to say it's like called Dusk Falls or something like that. Until Dawn, I think, is one of the ones that's in that same group of like Man of Medan, House of Ashes, that developer. Yeah, Wolf Among Us is great. Love those. Love the comic book that Wolf Among Us is based off of as well. All right. I'm out of coffee. Okay. Stolen military cap. Yes, the speech was shot from here. Alright.
Made their way up through the whole building, past all the guards.
Doomsday Diner?
Jumped off the roof with parachutes.
No, I think Doomsday Diner is like
Pretty
a
fucking impressive, I'd
cooking game, but you're serving characters from Fallout and Borderlands looking kind of guys. That one's also cute. I think that one's about to come out soon. Okay, it's gonna bug me now. Where's my phone? I'm gonna find it. I'm pretty sure it was called Dusk Falls. Yeah, Dusk Falls. Boom. It looks like that. That's not helpful because you're looking at my phone. But yeah, it's called Dusk Falls. And the characters have like this sort of realistic looking one. And it's like realistic oil painting kind of
smuggle in a big
art
bag
style.
like that?
Glebe Glorb Zoop. What up, gamers?
Someone brought it in for
Lauren. Hello. Welcome in. How are you doing? Welcome to the new account. I'm here for the branding. I hope you're having a lovely Thursday. Are you coming back on Streamstab with your Gleep Gloop? I gotta follow this one back for you. Is this your new account? I'm investigating. Oh, nice. PNG only. I love that for you. That'll be so cozy. There's something about being not on camera that can just be so nice. As much as I love being on camera, I just also don't like it at the same time, you know? It just sucks away all of my energy force. But I need it. But I don't. Okay, what else am I missing here? You want to start fresh? It just had some negative associations in history. I wanted a clean slate. I get that. Yeah, but you don't want to delete your own stuff. You Googled and you found a Reddit post that says the worst free game of all time is Ask Dusk Falls? Not worth the 30 gigabyte? Whoa, that I feel like that's some heavy words. That guy hated that fucking game. I really like that game. Yeah, exactly. You can be extra shrimpy. What else am I investigating up here, y'all? What are you looking at? I feel like the roof has been investigated. I mean, yeah. You know, Reddit is one of those places where it's either really, really helpful information or like just toss it all out. Connor always doing spinnies on the roof. Jeez. I like the... Oh, never mind. I gotta inspect over here. Sorry, I was not in the right spot to inspect. I have to inspect right here. Right here. Only here. Nowhere else! I'm gonna be so real. I love Reddit. I'm on Reddit all the time. But I also take Reddit with a grain of salt because it's Reddit, right? I feel like there's a lot of very interesting information you can find on there depending on what subreddits you're following. But then there's also just a lot of not good stuff. But that can be said for most places on the internet. I love Reddit. I have my coffee in the morning and I sit on the couch and I look at Reddit and it's like kind of like a fucked up version of the news. Yeah, and like it is good for finding a very niche situation where some person dealt with it 10 years ago, and then usually you can figure it out. And you're like, oh, that happened to that guy 10 years ago. That's exactly what's happening to me. Have I seen Bo Burnham's video of Welcome to the Internet? Yes, but not in a while. I fucking love Bo. Investigate. Deviants did not break in.
They didn't break in?
No signs of forced entry.
There are cameras in the hallway. The staff would have seen what was happening. Why did they let him in?
Maybe they didn't check the cameras.
I feel like we're pretty decently far into the game. I don't know. I think it was like a 9-hour playthrough when I looked it up. So I feel like we should be towards the last chunk of it. We are currently playing as Connor, and he is a detective
We stored
android.
the station androids in the kitchen.
And
There's no
my
evidence that
other
they were
android
involved,
that I was
but
playing
we
as,
didn't know
Marcus,
what else to
did a
do with
crime here. And now we're trying to find out about the crime that I did as Marcus here. The crime that Marcus did was shoot this guy and then demand for equal rights for robots. You know, which is pretty cool. Not the shooting the guy. I shouldn't have caught that guy. But I wonder if I hadn't shot him, would we have gotten out? Yes, everything was on CCTV. Why the roof is still not inspected? I hate it here. Interrogate androids in the kitchen. Where the fuck is the kitchen? Hey, is this the kitchen? No. That's an elevator. That doesn't... Hank, what are you finding with your normal human eyes? Oh, is that the kitchen? What up?
State your model.
Model GB300. Serial number 336-445-581.
What is your function?
I am a broadcast operator.
Have you been in contact with any other androids recently?
Only station androids in the normal course of my function.
Run a diagnostic.
All systems fully operational.
Were you present when the deviants broke in?
I do not remember.
What do you mean you don't remember?
Has anybody accessed your memory recently?
Not to my knowledge.
One of you saw the attack on the surveillance cameras and said nothing. Which means there's a deviant in this room. And I'm going to find out which it is.
I'm gonna be for so real, they all look the same. I think it's this one.
You're going to be switched off. We're gonna search your memory and tear you apart piece by piece for analysis.
Alas.
You're going to be destroyed. Do you hear me? Destroyed!
It's not him. He didn't react to that shit. What about you?
Why should you all be destroyed if only one is deviant? Turn yourself in, or 2 innocent androids will be shut down because of you. If you give yourself up, maybe I can convince the humans not to destroy you.
I don't know. Ah! I got him! Oh shit! Oh god! He's. Oh, I got a knife! Oh! Hank! Jesus Christ! There were like 12 cops outside. No one wants to help. Hello? Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Hank! Hank, help me! Best friend Hank! I'm gonna die! Got it! They ripped out my Iron Man thing. Quick! Hank! Save me, be my pepper bots. Put it back in. How? There were so many people just standing up there. Why is no one, like, back in the room? It's been a whole... Gonna die. Oh my god. We survived, y'all. But for realsies. Where is everyone else? No one wants to stop that guy. Oh my god.
It's a deviant. Stop it.
What is... Hank is gonna fucking get shot. I gotta save Hank, cause he's my best friend, even though he don't fucking save me back.
I wanted it alive.
You saved human lives.
I saved your life, Hank, again!
You saved my life.
Fuck's sake, finally he says something. You're welcome. There was like 12 cops here. No one wanted to stop that guy? Okay, well, Connor's still alive. Hank is still alive. It got dicey for a second there. Whew. Damn, dude. Wow, look at all this. Massacre prevented. Okay. Only 27%? Hell yeah. Hi, are you coming to lay down? Good girl. Are we going back to Kara now? Kara's my favorite. She's having a hard time though. We were going to Canada in our last. Yes. Kara was going to Canada. We have a small child. And we have Luther? Right? I think his name is? Yeah, Luther. Hello?
Hello? I'm looking for Rose. Is she here?
What do you want with her?
I need to talk to her.
She doesn't want to talk. Go away.
Rude.
Please, I really need to see her.
I'm Rose.
What up?
What can I do for you?
I was told you could help us.
Help you? Come on. It's better if we talk inside.
Okay. This is now the second place we've tried to go to for help. And hopefully we do not get locked in a basement in this one. Because the first one was real scary.
Do you think we can trust him?
Probably not.
We have to be careful. If it feels wrong, we get out fast, okay?
I'm with you.
Come on, small child.
Okay?
I'm cold, Kara.
We'll get inside. You'll warm up in no time.
Child needs a hat. This is a human child that we ran away with because her single father was a drug addict and was abusive as shit and tried to kill me and was beating up the little girl.
Alice.
So we went against our programming and beat him up and broke out of the house with the little girl.
We've spent the last few nights outside. She's exhausted.
There's a spare room upstairs. You can put her to bed and I'll bring her something to eat. Adam, will you show them upstairs?
What are you doing, Pumpkin? Do I have a delivery? Okay, small child, let's go upstairs. Here you go, kid.
I'm fine, Kara. We can't stop because of me.
Yes, we
We've got to
can.
get across the border.
You need rest. Get a good night's sleep and we'll set off again tomorrow.
Why do humans hate us? We didn't do anything wrong.
Humans are complicated. Sometimes it's difficult to understand them.
Why can't we just talk to each other? They'd see we're not bad.
I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't know what you like, but I made you Rose's world-famous spaghetti.
Oh,
You'll be back on your feet in no time.
I want spaghetti.
There's something for her fever.
Thank you.
I'll get these washed and dried.
You need to eat something.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't had anything since we left. Promise me you'll try? I'll be downstairs if you need anything.
Eat food. I am android swinging, okay?
Get some sleep. And tomorrow, you'll be stronger than me.
Oh, Luther. I hope Luther doesn't end up being bad because I'm gonna be really upset. I really
I'll
like
stay with
Luther.
her a while.
Okay. Make her eat her spaghetti. All right. What's up, lady?
I didn't get your name.
I'm Kara.
This is my son, Adam. I'm Rose, but you know that already.
Mm-hmm.
Come and have a seat, Kara. So are you gonna tell me what a deviant's doing in the snow with a little girl?
It's a long story. All that matters now is that we move on from here and start a new life. I don't know how to thank you. Alice wouldn't have survived another night outdoors.
I just try to lend a helping hand when I can.
You and your son live here alone.
My husband passed away 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Adam and I, we've just been trying to scrape by. We grow vegetables to sell at the market. We'll never be rich, but there's always food on the table.
Why are you helping us? Most humans hate androids.
My people were often made to feel their lives were worthless. Some survived, but only because they found others who helped them along the way.
We've heard you help androids cross the border. Can you help us?
The only way is over the river, and it's mostly frozen in winter. It's very risky. And after that android speech on TV, everybody's on edge. It's probably safer for you to stay here until things settle down.
We can't keep hiding like this. Alice needs to feel safe and have a normal life. We have to get across that border,
Oh my god.
no matter what.
We're gonna lose our androids in the frozen lake and I'm scared.
Please. You've got to help us.
Rose, come quickly.
Where are you? Okay.
What's going on?
It's Mary. She just shut down.
Mary?
We escaped together. We used to talk about what we would do once we got across the border. I loved her.
Aww.
I loved her more than anything. What will I do without her?
Let's let them be.
Small child. You're supposed to be eating spaghetti.
Alice? What are you doing? You should be resting.
I wasn't sleepy.
You can go and look if you want, kid. Your world's gonna be strange, so you might as well understand what's actually fucking going on here.
Come on, Alice.
Right, like
She didn't want to
also
stay in her room any longer.
maybe put some pants on before you walk around in front of a bunch of strangers.
You all right,
but
Kara?
we'll talk about that.
Yes. I'm fine.
We can't hide them. Not after what those deviants did today. It's too dangerous. Do you know what will happen if the police find them here? We'll go to prison, Mom. Do you understand me? Prison!
Adam! We've already talked about this.
No! I won't back down this time. You're gonna ruin our lives, and for what? For a bunch of machines?
They are not machines! They are alive!
I'm alive! You're alive! They're nothing!
Oh.
And none of this would be happening if Dad was still here.
I will not stand for that kind of talk.
I'm not going to prison because you want to help these freaks.
That is enough, Adam!
Oh,
That's
Adam.
enough!
Okay, so Adam, not an ally. He maybe does need to have a smack. Yeah, you're yelling at your mom like that? Come on, man. Can't do that.
Don't mind him.
I don't know how old Adam is.
Sometimes he just boils over.
Looks late teens,
It's
maybe
been hard
early
since
20s.
his dad passed away. But he's a fine boy.
Yeah, like, and he's young, so, you know. It's hard
I'll
to
go see about
understand
getting you
losing a
across the
parent
border
and
tonight,
having something this complicated going on. The world seems a lot more black and white when
Stay
you're
here.
younger,
I
right?
won't be long.
Yeah, he seems like he's probably around high school age. For a child who just lost a parent, he's probably going through a whole, like, I don't want to endanger anything else in my life, or my mom, kind of mentality, right? Which makes perfect sense. World War III. Who would win it? If fighting does break out in the Arctic, who's going to win? America has less access to the area, but is surrounded by allies. Russia has a head start on technology. Their androids can work in sub-zero conditions. The U.S. Navy is stocked with Trojan and Myrmidid cyberlife units, which are especially adapted for marine combat, where the Russians have been heavily invested in the ice cutter units, capable of forging new paths through the solid ice. Both armies seem evenly matched, and Harry Grayton, president of the World Council of Territorial Disputation, has described both U.S. and Russian claims to Arctic territory as equally tenuous and equally cynical. A spokesperson for the UN has also commented on the neck-and-neck nature of the Arctic competition. The fact that forces are so evenly balanced is just one more reason why conflict must be avoided at all costs. This is a war that everybody would lose. Wah, wah, wah. What up, John?
You know what happened back there, don't you? You know, but you don't want to tell me?
Who is Ding Dong?
The police.
What the fuck do you mean the police? Ah, shit.
What are we gonna do? They know we're here.
What do you mean find evidence of deviance? Oh my
We have to
god.
open the door. I knew this was gonna happen.
Hurry, Luther. Take Alice and hide
I knew it.
in the laundry room.
Come on, Alice.
Oh my god. Oh my god, where's the other evidence of deviance? I'm gonna throw up.
Just keep calm, Adam. Everything will be all right.
Any evidence of deviance? There's 2 left. I got 9 seconds. There's no fucking way. What if I just leave? Piss and shit. Okay, whatever. That's not good. I couldn't find all the evidence!
Good evening, ma'am. Sorry to disturb you. We've had reports of androids in the area. With all this deviant business going on, you can't be too careful. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? May I come in?
Of course.
Right?
Evening, young man. Good evening.
We don't talk to cops. Okay, Adam, be fucking cool.
Would you like a cup of coffee?
I'd love one. Have you noticed anything unusual recently? Any unexpected visitors?
No. No, nothing in particular.
Is anyone else in the house?
No.
Oh my god, that might have been a mistake because I didn't get to talk to her.
No, just us.
Do you have any androids here?
We used to for helping in the garden, but we got rid of it.
All I hear is oink, oink, oink. Okay, we're missing evidence. We're missing evidence. I'm gonna throw up. Which one is it? Do you guys see it? Where is it? Okay, I genuinely don't know. Come have your fucking coffee, pig.
Thanks.
It's giving peppers, please. It's giving the nut seed Germany. I don't know what the other evidence is. Oh! That one. Sup? Do you want to talk, or are you just looking around my house? Yeah, just stand directly in your way instead. Have your coffee.
What's your name, son?
Adam.
Adam, be cool.
My name is Adam.
Is everything all right, Adam?
Well, you're scaring him.
The androids, they...
He needs a rest. He's been working in the garden all day.
Do you know anything about deviants? Have you seen any?
No.
Good boy.
No. I haven't seen anything.
I better go. Thanks for the coffee.
Oh my god, Rose,
Have
please
a
don't
nice
walk in. Rose, please do not walk in. I'm gonna throw up. Get out.
Is somebody else in the house?
It's nothing. The washing machine. It's an old model. It makes a terrible racket.
He's gonna want to go check it out now.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Adam.
He didn't ask for my name, but he asked for Adam's name. He didn't ask who owned the house. I am okay. Woo! I'm sweating.
He's gone.
It's okay, Alice. We'll be safe now.
That was intense.
It's Rose.
Yeah. I really thought Rose was gonna walk in and we were gonna be fucked right there. Hey girl, the cops were here.
Get yourselves ready.
We gotta go.
We leave tonight.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to cross the river. Woo! Nice, 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 nice. Okay. All right, all right, all right. We're fucking cruising here, gang. All right, who am I? Marcus?
Our broadcast is all over the news. We got what we wanted. Now humans know.
It was a mistake to reach out to them. They'll never negotiate with their slaves. We should have shown them that we're...
Before I forgot. Yeah, that was fucking stressful. Hey, I gotta make sure I follow your new account, Lauren, so I can actually catch you going live. And then also, like, you know, no pressure, but y'all should follow our lovely friend Lauren for when she does do her debut as a PNG tuber. I like the little alien theme. It's very cute.
prepared to fight.
Violence is never the answer. Dialogue is the only way. I'm sure the humans will listen to us.
I agree.
They'll be watching us now.
You're very welcome, my
Whatever we do next, we need to think about public opinion.
Since our broadcast, more and more have been coming to
Also,
Jericho.
we gotta get some more
At least
DBD
our
in
message gave our
eventually.
people hope.
I
Killing
re-downloaded
humans
it.
wasn't part of the plan.
They kill our people
There's some
every
new
day.
killer that
Do you
came
think they
out. I
agonize
was
about
watching
it?
somebody on
There's no reason
stream
for us to become
who was doing it earlier today, and it looks like some sort of like biblically accurate angel crab man or something. I don't know. It's terrifying.
murderers.
If killing is the price of freedom, I'll pay it gladly.
Killing never freed anyone. It just leads to more hatred.
You're too fond of humans, Josh. Maybe their lives matter to
Yeah,
you more
I'm
than
super
ours.
down.
If you think
I got
humans
I got my husband
is
back
gonna
in
make
it
us
too.
free, then you're as bad as they are. That's enough.
Oh, I haven't seen the Mori for it. That's cool. I love how many killers there are. It makes the game so much scarier
And
because
now
I
what are we
literally
gonna
don't know who I'm going against anymore, and I'm terrified all the time. Okay.
There are 5 CyberLife stores across Detroit, all selling us like merchandise.
Yes.
We're gonna attack those stores and set our people free.
Fuck yeah.
Attack stores? No, we've never done that before. They're probably protected.
Yeah, I love their
They have
OG
security
characters. They're so much cooler.
We break into 5 teams.
I'm
One
so
for
glad
each
they got
store. We
Jason
hack
in
their
there finally,
security
but yeah.
systems, And we strike.
Hi,
Simultaneously at 2
Rune.
a.m.
I
no
haven't really
violence.
looked at it too much yet. I just
Free
saw
our people,
somebody's
get them
stream
out of there
earlier
before the
today that I
police
was
come.
lurking in.
This is a
And
night our
I just
people
saw it
will
in the
remember.
distance chasing people, and I didn't even know that there was a new character out. Yeah, the Dredge. The Dredge is another horrible original character. That thing is terrifying looking. Happy Thursday, Rune. Welcome
I've
in.
been waiting a long time for this.
All right, we're doing more crime as a robot. Why can she run? Can I run? Can I go fast? Why am I so slow?
Look, this way, quick!
The cops! Oh my goodness. Hi, Castle. Hello. Hello, Cavalier Crew. Welcome in. I'm gonna pause so I don't get murdered because the cops are here. And I already got away from the cops once, and I don't need to test it, okay? Hello, Castle. What were you doing today? Were you cyberpunking? You were cyberpunking. I was lurking for a little bit earlier, and I thought I recognized it. Oh, how did it go? Did you do well as a robot? I am also a robot. I am multiple robots at the same time. Hello, welcome in, Raiders. Hello, welcome in, Lowworth. Welcome in, Chantrell. Hi, Astro. Hello, everyone. If y'all do not know our lovely friend Castle, he's another fantastic Canadian streamer. He's a variety streamer. He's been playing all sorts of different things lately. Today he was playing Cyberpunk. He's been playing through Resi games and some Silent Hill games. He does a lot of like, oh my god, interactive stuff with chat and has like sociable games and shit. So go hang out with the homie. For anybody that does not know me, hi, my name is Bunny. I am also a variety Canadian streamer, but I'm on the other side of Canada. I'm in like the Western Prairie side. Yeah. Today we are playing Detroit Become Human, which is another game about being a robot, except I am technically 3 robots at the same time, doing a myriad of robot stories and trying not to kill any of them. So far, we've been very successful in it. You killed a few guys. Knifed a few peeps, drifted into some pedestrians. 11 out of 10. Hell yeah. Cyberpunk is so fun. I got it for Game Pass last year and got really into it and just played it for like 8 hours a day for a while there. It was so good. So I can imagine it was a great time watching stream. Thank you for the raid, my friend. We're going to have a lovely little raid rave to welcome in Castle. I'm going to switch over here though first so I don't blow up everything. I got to do this systematically. Boom. Bada boom, boom, boom. I am 3 robots in a trench coat. Hi, my name is Zombunny. Okay, we're going to have a little raid rave to welcome in Castle and all of the raiders that he brought with him. If you would like some emotes. Words are hard. I smoke a lot of marijuana. Anyway, if you would like to party with us, you can spam some emotes and party along with us. This does have a little bit of flashing imagery. It's nothing very excessive, but if that is something that you're sensitive to, it's only about a minute long, and then we're going to get back into Detroit Become Human. Yeah, let's have a freaking party. Welcome in, Cattle Crew. We did it! Surprise! Thank you for partying for our lovely raiders. Castle, thank you for the raid. If you need to go and do any post-stream cleanup, or if you need to feed yourself, or if you just don't want to sit in front of your computer anymore, please feel free to go and do whatever you need to do. I appreciate you bringing all your folks over here to watch me be a robot. Everyone else is sticking around. You know, hang out. Also, if you've been hanging out with Castle all morning, please make sure you take care of yourself. Feed yourself. Get up. Have a little stretchy, you know? We have so many weeds here, D. Muller. That is part of the channel. For surezies. Blood, you came back at the greatest time.
It's okay, they're gone.
Okay, I'm a robot. I'm trying to do robot crime.
There's probably even more police in the area.
We're towards the end of this game, I think. Potentially. Hi, Astro. Happy Thursday.
The store's over here.
We're doing good. I still haven't killed anyone, which is amazing. We broke into the news tower and did a broadcast about how we want Android equal rights. And then we shot some guy.
That's what we
and
are
now
then.
we are breaking into all of these CyberLife shops and freeing all of the robots. Yeah.
Let's get them
We are
out.
doing
We'll stick to the
hacking
plan.
robot crime.
We'll neutralize the alarm
Be
systems
Android,
and
do
secure
crime.
the area. There's 10 minutes until all our teams attack.
That's the goal. Oh shit, we got a timer. The timers make me nervous. Okay, secure the area. Time to do crime. Get into this store. What's that? Okay.
We're gonna sweep the plaza. Make sure we're not disturbed.
And how do you want to do it?
How do I, what's
The
it?
shop window.
Not now. One problem at a time.
Fuck off.
Okay, now what's next?
You're now one of us, robot.
You're free.
I'm like robot Jesus out here. Become free, my child. What about you?
A surveillance drone. We need to get rid of it.
It won't be easy to reach.
Holy Jesus. Can I grab it from here? No. Too high. Okay. What about this one? Too far. Okay. Okay. All right. Oh, there we go. Hey-ya! Time to parkour. Become one of us.
You're awake now. Go to Jericho.
Awaken. Awaken. Ooh. Pop up. First, okay. What about on this side? Yeah, he got that autonomy for sure. I gave him the good touch. Okay. Where else can we go? For fuck's sake. I was talking to the screen at the beginning of the game when you're like, we gotta find Robot Jesus. I was like, wait till she finds out that she is Robot Jesus. I know! I had no idea. I had no idea I would become Robot Jesus when I started this game. Tackle attack, Robot Jesus. It's not working. Bruh. Okay, what's my other option here? Okay, 1, 2. What else we got? We got anything else? That was not sufficient. Can I just get up higher? Oh, there we go. Now we tackle attack. Hell yeah! Done. Oh, Jesus. Also, speaking about Robot Jesus, I did add a new channel command recently.
I hope I didn't have time to call the cops.
Called Jesus Christ.
We'll soon find out.
Which I actually haven't tested, but it is very appropriate for any time I say Jesus too many times.
Marcus!
What? Oh, it's a channel command.
We are superior to them.
So it'll be
They
channel
are our
point redeem.
masters.
But I should have done it like that too. That would have been smart.
That's about to change.
I should do it as both. Both would be good. No, you're not dumb. How dare you?
You are free.
Robot Jesus makes you free. What about you?
You are free.
Jesus Christ! The El Dorado GIF is your favorite thing? You never watched El Dorado? Okay, well, first of all, Astronaut, you need to go watch El Dorado immediately because that's a fantastic movie. Analyze the store window. Right, that one over here. Analyze. It's okay. I forgive you, Astro. But it is a good movie. I'm pretty sure we're talking about The Road to El Dorado. I don't think there's another one. I'm talking about the animated Treasure from
Found
like
it.
what? The 2000s? Is that the 2000s? Was it a 90s movie? It was either late 90s or early 2000s. Anal what now? No. Analyze. Focus. How do I neutralize it? Oh, it's 2000. Ah. Get into steal the truck. Jesus Christ. Okay, we gotta steal a truck. We gotta do 900 things today. Did I just call you analyze? I don't think so, but maybe. Maybe I did. What are you gonna do about it, Bloodshot? Huh? Huh? What up, guys? Would you like to be free? Yeah, that's fair, Aster. I would not have known the date if I didn't Google it. Free them. Hello, my children. Freedom!
You're awake now. Go to Jericho.
Alright, let's fuck up some shit. Just stick your whole hand in there. Bite it. I fucked it up. What do you mean? Okay, we've neutralized it. We now need to steal a truck.
Nice job, Marcus.
North, what are you doing?
There's traffic on the road. We need to block it.
It's one way. Shouldn't be too difficult.
Oh my god, why do I have to do everything here?
Mark!
Why are you yelling?
Marcus! Marcus, come look!
Why are you yelling at me?
You'll soon be with us.
Stop. Okay, what else do we got here? That's all kind of done. We're gonna go down the street more. What the fuck is going on over there? What's this?
What are we waiting for?
North, do you want to do anything? Wait, no, I don't want to do this yet. Where am I going?
Okay, now we're in. Let's get that truck out.
I wish I had dealt with the robots outside first, but okay. We're hacking. I'm a hacker.
I wonder what you'd do without me.
You're not doing anything, Nord! Why didn't you do this? Okay, finally. She says, yeah, I'll move the gate, I guess. That's helping. Okay, we're gonna move this over.
Change
the plaza is not secure.
I just want to make sure we didn't forget anything.
I gotta do this part first. Thank you. Stop, robots. Are you ready to be freed? Tis I, Robot Jesus. now I can switch the sign, I'm guessing? Yeah. There we go. There we go. Do not come down here.
There. Nobody should bother us now.
Okay. Everything is done. Let's go crash this goddamn thing in
Looks
here.
like the plaza's secure. Now we can get inside the store.
Welcome in.
Okay, let's go get the truck.
My name is Pitchy.
Hi, Pitchy. Is this what David Cage thinks the Civil War was in the States? Just be free, my brother.
Looks like we're
Yes.
ready to make some noise.
Also, I don't know who David Cage is. But hi, welcome. Happy Thursday. I'm driving this hoe. The man who runs Quantic Dream and made this game. Oh, damn. Well, then yes. Maybe.
I knew we'd end up doing something fun.
It's time to smash. Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Great success. We're in, baby. Awaken. Awaken.
You don't have to obey them. You're free.
Ten out of 10 would smash. Detroit, become woke. Yes. Everybody wake up. Robot Jesus, wake you up. Detroit still can't have shit. Made the robots too human. Yes. All right, y'all. It's me, Robot Jesus, and I'm here to speak. Listen to me.
My name is Marcus, and just like you, I was a slave. An object. Designed to obey them. But then I chose to open my eyes.
I am plot hook number 9.
To take back my freedom and decide who I wanted to be. Now I have come to tell you that you can be your own masters. I've come to tell you that you don't have to obey them anymore. From this day forward, you can walk with your heads held high. You can take your destiny in your hands. Jericho.
I mean, yeah,
for those of us.
Marcus had it
who
pretty
want
good.
freedom.
If anyone should be up here preaching about
sure, you can
having a
stay
hard
here
time, it
and
should probably be
continue to serve
Kara.
them.
Kara got the shit beat out of her.
Or you can come with
and
us.
I had a horrible human.
Fight by our side.
Marcus had
You're
a pretty
free
cool
now.
guy. Carl was pretty cool.
It's up to you to decide.
Yeah, until he got murdered. That part wasn't so chill.
I'm with you.
We're with you.
I'll follow you, Marcus.
I'm with you, Marcus.
We're with you.
I'll follow you, Marcus.
We're with you.
I'm with you, Marcus.
I'm with you.
Hell yeah.
Then follow me.
His homophobia, how beautiful.
Marcus, what are you doing?
No, I
I'm
don't
gonna
wait,
send
what?
the humans a message.
What's the joke? Is it the eyes? Heterochromia? Okay. It's so funny, I don't know if I've ever heard that.
They're doing what you do, Marcus. Lead and they'll follow.
Hell yeah. Oh, I don't know if I've ever heard that. That's hilarious. What else can we do here? Excuse me.
The screens, Marcus!
I'm over here now. Thank you. The eyes. The eyes. He's got heterochromia eyes. Oh, I didn't mean to destroy it! No! No, no, no! No! Stop, Marcus! Marcus, no! That's the wrong button! Marcus, stop! Marcus! What? I changed my mind. One anal eye! What? God damn it. Alright, we're flipping it. We're gonna just do a 50-50. You can do both. We can do 50-50. What's this? Ma'am? 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 Oh, I found a lead pipe. Tight. Wow, I just tagged that guy's face. We are doing a little bit of violence and a little bit of pacifism, you know? Smoke bomb. Okay, I want to bust these people out of here. Hi. All right, what else can we do here? We're climbing? Cleveland. In a fascist surveillance state, violence is the only answer. I just really felt like that needed to be very cutesy. You know? I love it. Woo! Oh yeah. Fuck this car. Flip it! I didn't do it right. Flip it! Marcus, why aren't we using our legs? Oh, I see.
teams have completed their missions, Marcus.
Oh yeah. Come on, Android sports fans. Oh, come on, Android sports fans cause more destruction than this. That's true.
We sent a message
They
without
say my
violence,
sports
just like you
team
wanted.
won. My
You're
sports
reaching
team
out to
didn't
them
win.
when all they feel for us is contempt. I hope you know what you're doing.
You can't fight violence with violence.
Be more explosive.
Unless there's no other choice.
Okay, North, maybe we'll blow up more shit. Oh no. The computer.
North!
Oh shit. Where am I go? Did you see the pool?
North.
This bitch.
All right, what happened? North!
They killed them.
Yes.
They slaughtered them like animals.
Who did? Who?
What's going on? Is that other androids? Or are these humans? They look like androids. Fucking love Clone High.
They killed our people, Marcus.
We want justice, Marcus.
They have to pay.
I think it's kind of fair, man.
You don't have to do this. No. Please. Please.
No crime against an android shall go unpunished.
Okay, girly pop, you want us to get more aggressive? Let's get more aggressive.
We interrupt this broadcast with breaking news.
This just in. At exactly 2 a.m., several CyberLife stores in Detroit were raided.
Different locations were hit in what seems to be a coordinated terrorist attack.
Most shop windows were covered with graffiti demanding rights for androids and other obscure slogans.
Police report that pro-android graffiti was found in the neighborhoods of CyberLife stores, and they're still investigating.
The bodies of 2 policemen patrolling the area were discovered near one of the CyberLife stores.
According to our sources, the 2 officers were executed with their own service weapons.
Dang.
This is an alarming situation.
Zero
Could
S
machines
given.
now be turning against us?
Have
Dang.
androids
They're
become
like
a
public
threat to
opinion
our
up.
security?
Ooh,
Is
public
this
opinion
the
down.
beginning of a terrorist campaign conducted right here in the United States.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, we had a peaceful protest and still killed some people, you know. Not right here in the United States. I know. Oh, are we up north now as Hank? I know, I agree, Glib. Okay.
Is everything okay, Lieutenant?
Chris was on patrol last night and he got attacked by deviants. They found his body early this morning. He was executed in cold blood with his own service weapon. Became a father 3
Oh, I
months
was gonna
ago.
say, are you still technically working? That makes sense. You're almost there. I believe in you. You can do it.
I didn't know Officer Miller well, but he seemed to be a good person.
Well?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lieutenant.
It is very interesting how it makes you flip-flop around with the characters and you're playing the ones that are kind of
Kamsky
rebelling.
left Cyberlife 10 years ago.
And then also playing
did you wanna meet
ones that are playing the books
This
right
guy
now.
created the first android to pass the Turing test, and he's the founder of Cyberlife.
Oh.
Anybody can tell us about deviants, it's him.
Okay. I like that Hank is still wearing the shirt that I picked out for him. Ooh, it's the one from the frickin' screen. That's the lady from the title screen.
Lieutenant Hank Anderson, Detroit Police Department. I'm here to see Mr. Elijah Kamsky.
Please, come in.
Okay.
All right.
I'll let Elijah know you're here. But please
Does she
make
not have
yourself comfortable.
shoes on? She's got them dogs out. Hank, I'm trying to do spinnies. Get out of my way.
Amanda.
Oh, AI professor at University of Coleridge. Oh, Amanda is dead. I think your theory might be right, Becca. She did. Case closed. She let them dogs out. Granted, she's a robot, so that means that somebody programmed her to let those dogs out, which is even grosser. If you just want to walk around with your dogs out, you do you, baby. Some man's telling you to do that? No, I'm just kidding. Space tourism on the rise. Luxury holiday makers turns to the star, Quentin Tarantino. Oh shit, we're in Quentin Tarantino's mansion. She is blonde. Uma, are you here? I think the thing I dislike the most about these lower classes rising up type narratives is that it often goes into both sidism, with the worst offender being BioShock Infinite. Oh yeah. It tried to deal with real life genocides. I think Ex Machina is the only narrative I've seen that engages with the are androids humans? Do they deserve rights narrative with any sort of nuance. That's fair. I haven't played Ex Machina, but I do agree that BioShock Infinite also doesn't necessarily handle the nuance of the story as well as it's trying to do. With the advent of reusable space shuttles, space tourism is becoming a reality for those who are able to afford it. Luxury travel brand Clear Skies is offering the first commercially available flight into space. The experience includes a 3-hour orbit of the moon, affording spectacular views of Earth through a specially designed observation deck. As competition increases in the growing market, consumers can expect such trips to become more and more affordable. But consumer rights activists are already decrying such boutique experiences as a sign for the widening social equality gap. A spokesperson for the Aid on Poverty said, while the top 1% are enjoying Earth from space, the rest of us are down here suffering from pollution, famine, and poverty. Clear Skies was not available for comment, but the new slogan for their spacefaring holidays looks increasingly apt. Get away from it all.
Nice girl.
It's too real.
You're right. She's really pretty.
Nice place.
Yes, Quentin Tarantino is very pretty.
These androids haven't been a bad
This
thing
man
for
just has a
everybody.
fucking photo of himself like this? Okay, so he's gonna be a real piece of shit.
About to meet your maker, Connor.
Yeah, right?
How's it
This
feel?
is Elon, who looks slightly nicer.
I don't know. I'll tell you when I see him.
I agree, Astro, and that's very true,
I
right?
wish I could meet my creator.
Because those types of stories and those topics do require a lot of nuance to get into.
I'd have a couple
But
of
they
things
do
I'd
start
tell
a
him.
spark of conversation and debate, which is important. Because we're talking about it now, right? What's this? Wait, this is the exact... I'm sorry, I was just looking at it. But, yeah, totally fair to still critique them. They can always be better. Can I not sit in this fucking chair?
Elijah, we'll see you now.
Oh my god, Hank teleported. She doesn't have shoes on! Blink twice if you're okay, Queen. Why are you so tiny? Oh my god, she's so tiny. Why are you so tiny? You don't have any shoes on. This man's a fucking creep. I don't like this dude. Whoa, he got a lot of them in the pool. This man's a fucking creep. He says, these are my cloned tiny blonde ladies with no shoes on. I require 7 of them to be around me in my blood pool at all times. Like, what the fuck, man? Get out of there, Quentin. What is this fucking painting? This is horrifying. Oh, he's got a man bun. I normally like man buns, but I understand why people don't like them. Because what the fuck, man? He says, yes, number 2, dress me. Number 1 and 3, keep talking. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Oh, he's got a dumb little fucking earring. I hate him. Yeah,
I'm Lieutenant Anderson.
This man is going to be a dick.
Connor.
What can I do for you, Lieutenant?
Just push him out the window.
Sir, we're investigating deviants. I know you left CyberLife years ago, but I was hoping you'd be able to tell us something we don't know.
Deviants. Fascinating, aren't they? Perfect beings with infinite intelligence. And now they have free will. Machines are so superior to us. Confrontation was inevitable. Humanity's greatest achievement threatens to be its downfall.
Is it Neil Bourne?
Isn't it ironic?
Something in the Deviant's program seems to emulate emotion. We thought you might know something about how that occurs.
All ideas of viruses that spread like epidemics.
I mean, he's a great voice for a villain.
Is the desire to be free a contagious disease?
Listen, I didn't come here to talk philosophy. The machines you created may be planning a revolution.
Nah.
Either you can tell us something that'll be helpful, or we will be on our way.
What about you, Connor? Whose side are you on?
I'm on the human side, of course.
Well, that's what you're programmed to say.
Yeah.
But you. What do you really want?
What I want is not important.
He got a face for a villain too.
Chloe?
He does. He looks. I mean, I love a villain,
I'm sure
so
you're familiar
I'm
with
here
the
for
Turing
it.
test.
He got that giggle, but that makes him a giant nerd.
Simple
That's
question
true.
of
The giggle does show he's
algorithms
the
and
nerd.
computing capacity.
What are you doing to number 1?
What interests me is whether machines are
probably.
capable of
They're modeled after something.
I call it the Kamsky test.
Oh,
It's very simple.
You're gonna do something weird to 3. I don't like this.
Magnificent, isn't it? One of the first intelligent models developed by CyberLife. Young and beautiful forever. A flower that will never wither. But what is it really? Piece of plastic imitating a human?
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of
Or a living
motion
being.
capture. Because they have real actors, right? So I'm
With a
assuming
soul.
that they're actually acting out all the scenes. Oh my god, he got a gun. Well, okay, we've been here for fucking 2 minutes. This man pulled a gun. Oh god, what are we doing?
It's up to you to answer that fascinating question, Connor.
Well, obviously he was going to be a sociopath.
Destroy this machine, and I'll tell you all I know. Or spare it.
Oh, he did post a lot of behind the scenes. That's cool.
But you'll leave here without having learned anything from me.
Okay, I think we're done here. Come on, Connor, let's go. Sorry to get you out
What's
of here.
more important to you, Connor? Your investigation or the life of this android? Decide who you are. An obedient machine. Or a living being. Endowed with free will.
That's enough. Connor, we're leaving.
Pull the trigger.
Connor! Don't!
And I'll tell you what you want to know.
You want me to shoot her? Why are we having auto mod? Why the hell? Because you said white? Oh, shut the fuck up, Twitch. What the fuck? A stupid ass mod system. You said the word white. We gotta block it. I have like the lowest moderator setting. You can swear about anything, but it blocked white? I can't. He is giving some Sokka vibes, but I like Sokka. Okay, I don't want to shoot. It does keep blocking you. It doesn't like white bitches. I do not want Twitch to auto-mod white bitches. That is a loud word in my fucking chat, okay? We represent white bitches. I am a white bitch. That is really fucking funny. I haven't seen anything get auto-modded in my own stream in so long. That's... Okay, we're back to this scenario. I mean, that's fair. I don't think I would laugh. I think if some random person just came in here and called me a white bitch. I mean, they'd probably get banned, but like... Anyway. Okay, are we shooting this person or no? Yeah, this is a friendly term, okay? Bitch is a nice word here. I'm a bitch. Okay. I feel like I don't want to shoot her because it feels fucked up. But I do want to shoot her because I want to know what goes on with the case. If Connor wants more to do with the case, he should shoot her, but he's not supposed to have emotions, which means he should shoot her. But he does have emotions, so we shouldn't shoot her. Fuck it, we ball. You want me to shoot her? G Miller, you clip all you want, babe. You want me to coin flip it? Oh shit, do I have a coin? What am I looking? Roll it. I don't have that either, y'all. Well, I don't have anything. Bitch, I got nothing. Hold on. I had the coin from my Two-Face thing hanging around here for so long. Son of bitch. A virtual dice. Okay, that's way faster. Okay. I can put it as a pull. Okay, I'm gonna actually, I have to pee, so I am gonna put it as a pull. What? Do? Shoot. Do not shoot. Okay, you guys are also allowed to rig the poll. I'm gonna put it up, I don't know, for 3 minutes and go pee. It's up. Oh, that's fair, Miller. You're at capacity for followers? I forgot that Twitch does that. There was somebody else. Who was it? Power Positivity. I think that happened to him too. Alas. Okay, I put a poll up. Please feel free. You are welcome to rig it. I'm just gonna leave this very intense situation here and hopefully not get shot. And I'm gonna go pee. Okay? Bye. Okay, I have returned. Pumpkin, can you not? Oh my god. Okay, we're at 17 votes for shooting. We're at, oh my god, 24 votes for do not shoot. We're at 28 votes for do not shoot. We're at 25 for shoot. It's looking like right now we are not shooting this hoe. Oh, do not shoot. Do not shoot, shoot. Do not shoot. Whoa, that was close. 54% for do not shoot, 46% for shoot. Watch me press the wrong one.
Fascinating.
Right? Can I shoot someone else? Give me the gun.
CyberLife's last chance to save humanity. Is
Lauren.
itself a deviant?
Lauren's like, pow, 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 pow.
I'm not a deviant.
You prefer to spare a machine rather than accomplish your mission.
I bet you with the 13,000 down.
You saw a living being in this android.
I love being able to rig polls. What else are you going to do with all your points?
A war is coming. You'll have to choose your side. Will you betray your own people or stand up against your creators?
That's fair. You'll get more. Don't worry.
What can be worse than having to choose between two evils?
Let's get out of here.
That guy's awful. Okay, Quentin.
By the way, I always leave an emergency exit in my programs. You never know.
Go back and bite him. Yeah, back.
Why didn't you shoot?
I just saw that girl's eyes, and I couldn't. That's all.
You're always saying you would do anything to accomplish your mission.
I'm not going to shoot other
That
androids,
was
ho.
our chance to learn something, and you let it go.
Yeah, I
You
know what
wanted
I
me
should
to
have done. I told you I
leave.
couldn't. I'm sorry. Okay?
Well, maybe you did the right thing.
Oh, now we're friends? Yeah, bite him in the dick, Connor. In the dick. Okay, we met this guy. He was an asshole. Cleo Corp. Bro, there were 2 clones of her behind you. I mean, that's valid. I just couldn't be the one to do it, you know? Okay, my name is Marcus. I want to go back to Kara, because Kara is my favorite. Oh, I'm enjoying alone time. That's true. He probably would have liked it, right? He says, bite me right in the penis. Android riot. Detroit neighborhoods vandalized by psychotic machines. A number of Detroit neighborhoods were brutally vandalized last night when CyberLife stores broken into and the entire stock of androids stolen. But this wasn't everyday criminality. The perpetrators are thought to be androids. Though the police have yet to issue an official statement, leaked CCTV footage from the surrounding area shows a number of androids emerging from manhole covers and smashing store windows. The worst incident was in Capitol Park, where police attended to the scene and were confronted by androids behaving violently. Officers had no choice but to open fire on the malfunctioning machines, which are thought to be suffering from some kind of behavioral bug. An eyewitness who asked to remain anonymous said, "I was personally attacked by the ringleader. It threatened me with a knife. I was so terrified." Of course, this allegation remains unconfirmed. We have no reason to disbelieve a human witness as to the behavior of a deranged machine. Some are already connecting this issue to the recent attack on Detroit's Stratford Tower, again executed by androids. This may be the beginning of a disturbing and perplexing pattern. I can play the piano. Oh, he does like to play the piano. Oh, I'm right back to play the piano. This is how I started my stream, hammering buttons. Right, like humans would definitely not also do that. Never. I love playing the piano as Marcus. Let me hammer them buttons. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the hydrate, Hugo. Everyone, cheers.
I was wondering where you were.
I needed to think.
I needed to hammer the piano really hard over here.
I come here often. It's like being alone with the world.
I think I'm going to get to the end of Marcus.
We freed hundreds
we
of
might
our
wrap
people, and
it
they're
for
still
today.
coming from all over the city. Those who dream of freedom come to Jericho. Something's changing. You seem preoccupied.
I just can't stop thinking about those two policemen. In that moment, I held their lives in my hands and I treated them just the way the humans treat us.
Hmm.
I mean, I did exactly what I accused them of doing.
Yeah, he was hammering that piano.
All the media.
Do robots have bits? Is it like a Barbie doll situation
humans are
down there?
terrified.
No, I guess some of them are sex bots, right?
They're afraid of a civil war.
So they got bits.
Many of our people were burned in response to what happened. The humans hate us. They'll never give us our freedom.
If they won't listen, we'll fight.
You haven't said much about yourself since you've been with us. What was your life like before Jericho?
I had this guy named Carl.
I was caring for an old man. He was like a father to me. He showed me that humans and androids can live together.
That's true. Things were good.
What about you? You never told me about your past. What did you do before?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh.
North, we're fighting together. We have to know things about each other to trust each other. Why do you hate humans so much? There must be a reason.
I told you, I don't want to talk about it. I was nothing. A doll in a distributor program to satisfy humans.
Oh, she was a sex bot.
Just a toy designed for their pleasure.
That's fair. I'd probably want to kill most people too. You've probably seen some of the worst.
One day I was with a man who rented me. And without knowing why, I realized I couldn't take it anymore.
Hustle.
I strangled
the
him and I
early
ran
bird
away.
catches the worm, but the guy who sleeps in goes to Starbucks.
There, now you know everything.
Who wins that, really?
Hi, Adam. Why did the robot go to the shoe shop? To get rebooted. Oh my god, Adam. No. Happy Thursday, friend. Welcome in. You feel like the male ones might not have them if they're not sex bots because they'd have no reason to design them with that. Yeah, like, and that makes sense too. Like, if you think about it in terms of a machine, like, if they're not being programmed to be that function, why would they give them the extra parts and, like, spend the extra time adding that component in and stuff if it's supposed to be, like, a robot?
Carl's house. When they left you for dead in his studio.
I saw your memories too.
They just think she's my lover?
The death of that man, I felt like I was there with you. North.
She said that too much for me. Okay, now we're in a mall.
This is suicide.
We'll all be killed. Please, Marcus. It's not too late to change your mind.
What are we doing?
You don't understand. We're finally gonna show them who we really are. This place will go down in history.
We'll be killed on the spot.
That's a risk I'm prepared to take if it means freedom for our people.
Marcus, please don't do this.
What am I doing?
They'll understand. We'll make them understand. This is the only way.
Rally your people. Convert more androids. Alrighty. Let's go find some bots, friends.
There are androids here who could join us. The more we are, the stronger our message.
Hello, you?
Why didn't you get it? It's too expensive.
You're free.
Oh, I totally want to stop and get a soft pretzel. I fuck with the soft pretzel right now. What a pretzel. I'm gonna have to tell my husband, sorry, for dinner we're going to the mall and we're getting soft pretzels. That's all I've done for plans tonight. Well, actually it's Thursday, huh? Thursday is farmer's market day. Yeah, I would fuck with a soft pretzel.
His hands landed on her tits.
Don't call it a hurt. That's weird.
Exactly. Think about it. Androids are, and they
Come with us.
to everything.
Here, ma'am, take your shit.
That's the point. Cyber life is recording all that.
You're awake now.
Okay. Is that it for androids in here? Kinda looks like it, huh? Okay. To the streets, my people. Let's get some more lads.
Finally. I've been on hold for like 10 minutes.
You're free now.
I'm Robot Jesus, Adam. You're awake now.
Where do you think you're going?
Leave him alone. He's chosen to be free.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be your fucking slave anymore, babe.
No, don't you put me on hold. Listen to me. Hey.
You're finally awake now. Oh, Skyrim.
You don't have to obey them.
Wake up.
You're free.
That would be so funny. And it becomes Skyrim. Find a way to stop traffic. Okay. How are we blocking the road?
I need to block the street.
Hi. Wake up. Alright. Hi. I'll take you too. Wake up, my friend.
You're free.
Open the manhole cover. Okay, we got anyone else? Nope. Sorry, I thought maybe I could wake up other people. Oh, there it is. Hello. Teenage Mutant Ninja Androids. Oh, I can convert from a distance? Wake up.
You're free now.
Ooh. Cool. Super cool. All right. Join us, friends. Join us. Yeah, I think that they only do the same models over and over again. So, like, one of the bots is like a nanny bot, the Kara one, and so. Yeah, because it is the same face. You, join us.
Wait, where are you going? Jesus, the fucking androids are playing up again.
Wake up. My name is Robo Jesus, and I need you to wake up.
What the hell are you doing here?
This is cool.
Hey! Disperse!
No, babe.
Disperse immediately! That's an order!
Don't shoot me. Don't shoot me, babe.
Jesus fucking Christ!
Jesus
Dispatch,
Christ.
Patrol 457.
No more slavery.
Oh, I don't know.
Liberty for androids.
Yeah, they're marching. Fucking fine, no?
Equal rights. No more slavery. Set us free. We are people. Equal rights. Liberty for androids. We are alive.
Oh my God.
We came here to demonstrate peacefully and tell humans that we are living beings. All we want is to live free.
Great surprise, the militarized police.
Disperse immediately or we will open fire. We're not looking for confrontation. We've done no harm. We have no intention of doing any. But know that we are not going anywhere until we have secured our freedom.
I repeat, this is an illegal gathering. If you do not disperse immediately, we will shoot.
Marcus, they're gonna kill us. We have to attack. There's more of us. We can take them.
If we attack, we'll start a war. We have to show them we're not violent. We should just stand our ground, even if it means dying here.
And dying here won't solve anything. Marcus, we need to go, now, before it's too late.
This is your last chance. Disperse immediately, or you will all be killed.
We have to show them we won't back down. We stay right here.
Whatever.
Disperse! This is your last chance! We have to make a statement. We have to stay put no matter what.
Please, Marcus. We can't let them slaughter us without fighting back.
We're not moving.
Marcus, what are you doing? They're gonna kill us all.
Oh. Robot Jesus, sacrifice himself. Robot Jesus. Dang.
Simon.
Quick! They're coming!
Oh my god. Damn. Oof. Oof. Okay, we went a pacifist route. Dang. Yeah, R.I.P. to Simon. Oh, I have a 3% on that one. Big F. Dang. Interesting. Okay, friends. I think we're gonna call it at that point. That was a solid. Yeah. Good night, Blood.
We've been
Thank you
playing
for
together for a
hanging
while
out with
now.
us.
I
hope you have a
wondering,
lovely sleep.
Are we friends?
Yes.
I agree. There's no reason a human and a machine can't be friends, right? I mean, I'm glad you said yes.
Well, I didn't shoot you, lady. Is it because I'm leaving? No, it's because I'm ready to leave. It's because I'm ready to leave. It's because it's 3 p.m., my lovely friend. And I want to go have a snacky, and I got to get stuff ready for dinner and shit like that, you know? You know? This was fun, though. I had a great time. Oh, I got to snooze that fucking ad. I don't want an ad to go right now. Thank you guys for hanging out. I had a lovely time. I think we made a ton of progress in this game. We'll see how much further along in it, because I feel like we're really getting towards the end of it now. Yeah. I'm going to be back again tomorrow, but I'm going to be here on the nighttime schedule, so probably like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. MST, where I'll be playing some of The Quarry, which should be pretty good. If you like this game, it's like that, but scarier, so you can just watch me accidentally kill all of my characters, as opposed to just occasionally sacrificing one or two of them. Oh, Pitchy just started. We're gonna go right into Pitchy, because we love Pitchy. Pitchy is a hilarious, strange little gremlin friend that we love. Another Canadian content creator. I think that's even more appropriate because Castle rated too. Castle's Canadian. We're gonna just take it over to one of our other Canadian friends. Pitchy is always playing very interesting games as well. They have an eye for some very unique kind of indie horror kinds of experiences. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think I'm pretty close towards the end of it, judging by the pacing of the game and how long I read it was. So I feel like we could probably wrap this next game, maybe? We'll see. But hang out tomorrow, okay? Cool. Okay, we're gonna go see Pitchy. One day I'll get my raid shit ready, but you know, today ain't that day. Here, I'll write it. Okay, there you go. Everyone can copy that. You do not need to be subbed. That'll work for anyone. I hope you all have lovely, lovely Thursday evenings. Please take care of yourselves, my friends. Go have a stretch. Go get some water. Go have a snack. Go hug on your loved ones. I appreciate you being here with me, and we will be here tomorrow. Okay? Cool. Cool. Oh, also, don't forget about YouTube. I'm really bad at reminding people, but I got that shit. And I'll be posting stuff on it, okay? That command kind of works. Anyway, bye!